We think the new Untitled review show set. It is an exact replica of my office, made inside the studio. No. So we're actually turning the Untitled review show set into a sound booth because we're doing a lot more voiceover stuff, and we are in the middle of a place where people do other work and stuff, and sometimes it bleeds over, so we're gonna turn into that. But on top of that, a lot of people seem to like when I'm just talking in the office, which is much easier for me. Just come home and give my thoughts. But at the same time, I like the format and the setup of Untitled Review Show because I do know I repeat myself from time to time, and I don't want something to go on for a half hour where I can sum it up in like 10 minutes. So I'm still gonna keep kind of the same setup, but I'm just gonna do it here from my office. With that said, I just saw this.
Shazam! Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
The daughters of Atlas are coming to hunt us.
Zachary Levi tells Lucy Liu he's not a literal man-child in Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Before I give my thoughts on this movie, I should give my thoughts on the original film Shazam. I really liked it. I think it's lighter in terms of both DC movies and superhero movies, but it also has a dark bite to it that I really appreciate. It reminded me a lot of those old 80s kids movies that were rated G and PG, but probably should be rated what this film is rated, so I really appreciate it for that, and I think the charm of the cast and the overall idea is very funny, very entertaining. So I was looking forward to seeing this sequel, and while it's not as good as the first one, I did find it very entertaining. The faults in it don't drive me that crazy, except for one that I'll get to in a second.
There's already a superhero with a red suit with a lightning bolt on it.
Yes, but for how long? The initial setup is very similar to the first one. You still have a young man who says the magic words and he turns into this superhero, only this time he's joined by his family who are very funny, and in this one a lot more, or at least in this one as superheroes a lot more, and they really play their parts pitch perfect, man. Meagan Good is especially good playing this superhero that's really just like maybe a 6-year-old kid where she goes to save like a car full of women, but then she sees kittens in the backseat and decides to save them first. Like, that is very funny stuff, and that's really sort of the strength of the film, is when it plays off of that and then also has that nice dark bite to it that was in the first film. I really thought maybe they weren't gonna have that in the sequel, or they were gonna lighten it up a little bit, but there really is still a harsh meanness to it that I really enjoy and isn't overbearing. It doesn't overpower the comedy or the lightheartedness of the idea, because it is a pretty silly idea, but they know how to balance it out for the most part in terms of having some good laughs, or at the very least some good charm from the characters, but also having some legitimate threats going on.
You understand I'm a pediatrician.
I specialize in treating in-jokes and weirdly a lot of Wonder Woman dolls. The special effects range from pretty good to pretty bad, but at the very least they're very creative and very imaginative, so even if an effect doesn't look especially realistic, it can still be kind of cool, because the climax, you've probably seen the trailer, this dragon that's flying everywhere, but there's a whole bunch of other creatures that they have to fight that are really fun to see, and again, do some real damage. There is an impressive body count in this light-hearted movie about a little kid that turns into a grown-up superhero. So all of that is really good. There's only one real problem I have that got in the way for me, because you could argue the writing is a little dated. Some of these jokes, again, kind of feel like 10 years old, but the charm of the actors make it work. They help it out. And again, you could argue this is all kind of a send-up to 80s kids films anyway, so you kind of give that a little bit of a pass. The one problem I had, weirdly enough, is with Zachary Levi. Because here's the thing, when he was playing the grown-up version of Billy in the first movie, Billy was what? Somewhere between like 13 and 15 at the oldest, or at least that's what he was supposed to portray in that, and he did it perfectly, beautifully. Here, he's turning 18, and he is still playing him like a 13 or 15-year-old. He does not grow up at all. He does not evolve at all. And it's really distracting when you have the actor playing Billy, younger Billy, really play his scenes for the most part straight. He's not acting super goofy or super silly, and he's not even in the film that much, But then when you have to cut to him as Shazam, he's acting all quirky and weird and odd, and it's not like a little kid, it doesn't match up. Now, he's not awful at it. He's not doing anything that's making you say, oh my god, will you just shut up already? Like, he is a very charming actor, but I really want to see him grow up a little bit. But that's only for about half of the performance. The other half, he's still pretty good.
I just threw a truck at a dragon. I love my life.
And I'm finding you just funny enough, damn it. All these heroes kind of cause more trouble than they save or help out half the time, which is pretty funny, because again, they are kids and they have to learn responsibility and teamwork and all that stuff. There's even a scene where they're saving these people from a bridge, and one of the people in the car is listening to I Need a Hero, and I love it when that song is played during an action sequence. I love me some Shrek 2 and Short Circuit 2 any day, and literally the person who's car is playing this song is falling, and Shazam catches her and says, oh my god, did I catch you while you're playing this song? And I just knew I was gonna have a fun time.
I've seen all of the Fast and the Furious movies, lady. It's all about
Family! Guys, that was a signal.
Oh, speaking of tie-ins, Skittles has some interesting tie-ins in this movie. I mean, this is something where E.T. would be looking at Reese's saying, oh my god, I was subtle. Dylan Grazer's character is a little more similar to the character he plays in Ron's Gone Wrong than the first Shazam, in my opinion, but I love Ron's Gone Wrong. I think he plays it very well. I can see some people maybe getting a little tired of him just kind of being so frantic and screamy, and sometimes it can come across as a little one note, but I think he does bring this real charm and energy to it that does win me over, but I can see some people getting a little tired of it, so that is something to keep in mind. The villains are okay. Again, they do have this real menace to them, but something that I feel like could be edited out is that, without giving away too much, there's 3 sisters in this, and I feel like it could have been 2. You could have trimmed one out. This is not an especially long movie, but it is still 2 hours, and I feel like this could have been an hour and a half very easily if you trimmed out one of those characters or just kind of combined them together. I feel like there's 2 sisters you could very easily combine into one. It's really like Black Adam with a slightly better sense of humor. So if you didn't really get into that film, I don't know if you're gonna get into this one, because you can easily point to familiar superhero cliches and plot points that don't always add up, but a lot of people that go to see Black Adam or a movie like this really don't care. They're just looking to see superheroes say one-liners and beat stuff up. So yeah, some of the writing can come across as a little dated, and I think the main performance was at times a little misguided, maybe relying too much on what was familiar from the first film. But despite its flaws, it's hard not to recommend a movie where Zachary Levi body slams Helen Mirren. I just can't see myself saying don't go check that out. So let's give it 3 out of 4 meme residuals I'll be expecting from Warner Brothers soon. You'll know what I mean when you see the movie. With that said, what did you think? Did you really like this film? Did you think it was just as good as the first one, maybe even better, and you think it really upped the ante and did a lot more with it? Or do you think it was terrible, it just didn't capture the magic of the original, it was trying too hard to just make us remember why the first one was great without adding anything that different? Or are you somewhere in between where you say, yeah, you know what, it's Shazam 2, am I really expecting that much? I had a decent enough good time. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Take care.